It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Okay, now we're unmuted. It's weird because right when I was getting ready to say, what's going on, everybody? You're checking out the RCWR show for this Monday night of January 13th, 2025. What's up, y'all? Lee Sanders with y'all. Yeah, my mouse decided to do something weird. My mouse is all of a sudden connected to my iPad, and it's throwing me off big time because this is the first time something like that has ever happened. Okay, now my mouse is connected to my MacBook. That's the most important thing that can go down right now. That was totally weird. I did not know my mouse was capable of connecting to my iPad. That's a first, especially since I never hooked up my mouse to my I'm like, just wow. Hey, what's going on with y'all, fam? Hopefully you guys been good since last time I was on the air with you all. Sound off. Come on. Let me know what y'all had thought about tonight's WWE Raw. Back to business as usual. Yeah, because when it's all said and done, Triple H got to go back to a number of those interviews that he put out there leading up to the Raw Netflix premiere. He said, hey, there's going to be some weeks where we are going to have very short episodes. But the most important thing, and what's really great about having an awesome partner in Netflix, is that as far as time restraints goes, there is not a hard time for us to end the show. So last week, very good example, we got ourselves a well-rounded 3+ hour premiere on Netflix. This week, we get ourselves a 2.5 hour episode. So to that point that Triple H, Paul Levesque was making, definitely some flexibility there some weeks. But, I would have to say overall, as far as this edition of Monday Night Raw goes, look, for anybody that is expecting to have that same feeling that went down with the Raw premiere every single week, just no, honestly, that for all intents and purposes, that was the premiere. And unless we're going to be hitting some important milestones, welcome to Raw episode number 1550, or it's the 2000th episode, or hey, it's the 35th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Unless we're going to be hitting some very important milestones, maybe a draft edition or what have you, then Raw on Netflix, after what went down with the premiere last week, it's going to go back to, all right, so your typical Monday Night Raw. That's not a good thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just giving it to you right between the eyes, just giving it to you honestly. And honestly, this was one of those weeks where it was, okay, well, kind of back to business as usual. Most importantly, trying to build up towards the Royal Rumble, which is going to be happening in 2 weeks. I cannot believe that. Can you guys? I mean, man, here we are, just boom, Royal Rumble. It just seems like it's compared to the previous years. It just seems like this year's Royal Rumble has come faster than anticipated. I can almost remember when we were at least 5 to 7 weeks out from the Royal Rumble. It's just amazing how much time flies by so damn fast. Sound off. Let me know what you thought about Monday's WWE RAW on Netflix. You can sound off on Twitter at the RCWR show. Got a poll up asking you guys what's up. Also got that same poll up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. So click on that. I will definitely poke my head in there later on during the broadcast and seeing how you guys whoa. Why we whoa man, gotta echo. Gotta echo. Sorry about that. Hearing a little bit of reverb. I took care of it though. We're good to go. Hey, before we go any further into tonight's show, I definitely yo DC, Maryland, Virginia. I got to talk to you one time. How about my Washington Commanders, baby? How about them? And yes, for those of you that's been following the show for a long time, wait a minute, Lee. All of a sudden, they're now your Washington Commanders. Yeah, when they're doing it right. And Lord knows that once Daniel Snyder was shown the exit, I pretty much was going, keep hope alive. Hope has been restored. Yes. And I got to tell you, with Magic Johnson, Allen, and all the rest of the guys in there, the new ownership, Dan Quinn as the new head coach, they have done a fantastic job with the turnaround for this organization. That was a nail biter of a game Sunday night. I got to tell you, I was watching it, and I was just going, "Oh, I can't take this. I can't take this." And at one point, I just said, "Let me just go lay down and take a nap," because I just the emotional roller coaster that I was on. But my wife stayed up pretty late to watch the game, and I could hear her off and on, hollering and all that. And I remember I finally came in a little bit after the third quarter, and I was starting to watch it, and I'm just going, like, oh, like I don't know. And I kind of felt like right on cue, Commanders, the choking. Here it comes, right on cue. And the doink that was heard from all around the world. You're just going, because they doinked their way into the playoffs. So another round there. So that is just fantastic to hear. As you would imagine, over here in the DMV, everybody is on cloud nine right now. It's interesting because when we were taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we were optimistic, but at the same time, we were saying to ourselves, yeah, we should be able to get past Tampa, but if not, if we're going to be eliminated here, it's all good. But now we got a bigger task that's ahead of us. And my not mistaken, and Commanders are now going to be facing the Buffalo Bills Mafia. Do I understand that right? Do I have that right, fam? Because woo, I have paid attention to some of those Bills games. I don't know, man. I don't know. And then, of course, we got the Cowboys. In case you all are not aware, Cowboys has parted ways with Mike McCarthy, or as I like to refer to him, Coach Menu, because every time I see him with that damn play sheet, it looks like he's trying to figure out what he's going to order off the menu for the evening. That's just how he always looks to me. He's the only one that I have dubbed Coach Menu. Okay. There's Coach Menu. And then let's not forget about Jason Garrett. I looked at Jason Garrett as Coach Clapp, but it would appear as though Mike McCarthy has been shown the door. I am glad. I never, from the minute that the rumors were in circulation that he was potentially going to be the new Cowboys head coach, I never fully was committed to him. I believe that it was going to be the same mediocreists that we have come to know of Mike McCarthy. no different from what was happening in Green Bay. And, in the end, I'm right. I like the way the Cowboys essentially did him. They kind of did him dirty if you stop and think about it, because the way they did him, they denied any interview requests, all that other stuff. So if something's going to be happening with him during this offseason where he is going to be able to get a gig somewhere, well, you know, it's probably most likely not going to be with a really good team. Let's put it that way. Now that you've pretty much got two stink boo-boos, okay, you were with Green Bay and then you were with, these other guys over here in the Cowboys, and pretty much you ain't really got nothing to show for. He's probably gonna have a tough time getting a gig somewhere else. What's up, Maria? What's up, everybody? He's probably gonna get a hard time getting a gig elsewhere. So kind of interesting how all that played out. By the way, one last thing I want to bring up while we're talking football briefly here. What about what happened there between the Eagles and Packers? I'm talking about the fan, that asshole of a fan that was berating the hell out of that. Uh, what was it? The Green Bay fan there in the female. For those of you that are not aware, you've been kind of laying low from social media. It's viral. Go check it out. There is a video of this white guy that is just berating the hell out of this woman, and it's unwarranted name calling. And I mean, you know what? It actually goes beyond name calling. This goes into a very uncomfortable, I'm going to call it harassment. And this isn't me being oversensitive. This isn't me being a wuss. But you got to go back and you got to check this out. You got to look at this footage yourself, and just all the derogatory names that this guy was calling her. And you had some of the fans going, "Hey, dude, like chill. Like and he's just getting all even more brazen and continuing to just lay into this woman. To find out this man is from out here in the DMV, I'm just going, wait, what? And what makes it even more crazy, fam, is the fact that this guy apparently born and raised out here. And it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, because since when has a person that's born and raised in the DMV, since when are they bleeding hardcore for the Eagles? I'm here to tell you guys, if you come away with anything tonight, just from a sports perspective, just from an NFL thing, understand this about Washingtonian over here, Washingtonian residents over here. Those that are born and raised, they are, the odds of them going to be a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, that is like slim to none. Typically, it is people that are from the Philadelphia area that end up being a transplant out here. Oh, hey, I grew up on the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I can remember various jobs I used to push over the years. I would come across, some folks that were from out of state. And turns out they were from, Philadelphia. And of course, they're an Eagles fan as a result, right? Those that I would strike up conversations with on the Metro, maybe it would be day before Commanders would get ready to play the Eagles. I strike up a conversation with them, or if maybe something good had happened and the Eagles beat the Commanders, or Eagles had a marquee game Monday night. I come to work, and during my commute, I see an Eagles fan, and I'm talking football. It's always a case where they're from out of state. So the fact that this guy was conducting himself the way that he was conducting himself, it was, I saw a lot of people were commenting on the guy's video, because the guy, was watching his girlfriend or wife get all of this vitriol that was coming to him. People are going, why would you do that? Like, why didn't you just drop him right then and there? And he had the right mentality. I saw a few of his responses. He's going, well, look, understand, this is a much older man compared to me. And the last thing I wanted to do was get myself into a position where I'm being jumped by other fans. So no, I didn't want to do any of that. I figured the best approach would just be to record. And at the time that you saw me recording, like this guy had already been berating my woman and all that, for several minutes. You pretty much caught the tail end of it. But even afterwards, he was still continuing to come at her verbally for several more minutes. So, in an update, for those of you that's not aware of the update, social media did its thing. They lit his ass up on fire. They were able to figure out his name, who he worked for. A lot of people ended up calling the employer, leaving all kinds of messages, bombing the hell out of leaving negative reviews for the company and all that. Company ended up putting out a statement and basically saying, look, we don't, and I want to make sure that we clarify this. At the time of this live broadcast, he has not been fired, contrary to some of the stuff that's out there on social media. From what I've been able to basically fact check, he has not been fired. Maybe yet, or just he has not been fired. But the company did put out a press release saying they do not condone his behavior. They are well aware of it. They also recognize, when you read in between the lines, pretty much, hey, he's doing this on personal time, but still, he's a representation of us. And so it's going to be interesting to see what type of disciplinary action happens to this guy, if at all. Social media, you guys are fantastic, though, because this guy is married. He has a daughter, so that makes people wonder, wow, how does he talk to his daughter and his wife behind closed doors? Is it anywhere similar to how he did that woman at the game over the weekend? So by the way, shout out to my buddy John Draper. He had put out a very interesting poll, as he was curious to know if fans got it right in their reaction to this asshole. And I want to read the polling results for you guys, because I liked seeing this. And the way Draper had put this out, he said, Eagles fan who harassed a woman for no reason has been identified and lost his job. Maybe Drapes knows something I don't, but I didn't see anything there that would say he lost his job. But he asked the question, Drape did, overreaction? I think not. We're seeing some people defend the attacker over the victim here. What say you, internet? Check this out. With over 138 votes so far, and there's about 20 hours left to vote. This is a poll that's up on Twitter. 85% are saying no, fuck that guy. 15% are saying, yeah, it's too much. So appreciate everybody that voted on Drape's poll there. That's, yeah. I sound off on that. I said, as far as the question goes, that dude deserved it. It was beyond overkill what that guy did. I've been to quite a few football games and events over the years. That was on another level and not in a good way. So, yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. Before we go any further into the show, I have family and friends that live out in California. I've reached out via phone, email, and I'm happy to say that my friends and family that live out there, knock on wood, they're okay. Their property is intact, all of that good stuff. But I know other people in California are not as fortunate. So when we were here, pretty much in the middle of last week, because we did do a bonus show. So not so much last Monday, but during the middle of the week, because we did a bonus show, information was trickling in as far as what was going on in California. And I wasn't quite prepared to talk about what was happening out there just yet, because I wanted more information, more context, very important. And to just see what's been happening out there with those wildfires. the amount of homes that's been lost, the lives that's been lost. Now, there's part of me that's going, okay, well, at least it's a small number. But see, a good reason why I didn't want to talk about it last week. Last week, rewind it back at the time, it was just a couple of deaths. Like about this same time, I would say Tuesday going into Wednesday of last week, heard like maybe 3, 4 people passed away. Now we're up to, I think it's about to hit 30 people that have passed because of these wildfires. I know over the weekend I was watching CNN News. I was watching Victor Blackwell. He hosts this 1 hour show on Saturdays only. It's a great show, and he was talking to this one victim. I'm very surprised this has not picked up enough traction on social media. But this one man, not only did he lose his home, but he lost, if I remember right, I believe he lost his girlfriend, and then he also lost his sister. I mean, there's like, I'm just going, whoa, talk about a bad case of luck. Like, what the hell? And somehow this man was able to maintain his composure and go through this interview with Victor Blackwell and everything. Sincerely, my thoughts, my prayers definitely go out to those affected by these California wildfires. I know right now a lot of people want to spend a whole bunch of time on how could this happen? You know, is the government at fault? Are elected officials at fault? You know, is the mayor, is the governor, like where is the accountability lie? I don't want to tap into. I don't want to talk about all of that right now. The only thing that I care about is the people that have been displaced by these fires. I'm also thinking about the countless number of animals that have been killed during these wildfires as well. All the animals that's been displaced by these wildfires as well, you know, because it's just all around. Everybody is suffering from this and everything. I can't stress it enough. If you have not given yet, definitely do your part. Red Cross, Salvation Army, definitely do your part and contribute. But just to see what's going on out there, just it really breaks my heart. Speaking of California, definitely thoughts to Melina Perez, uh, former WWE Divas champion, definitely Hall of Famer and everything. Melina Perez, there were some, and I did not appreciate how the wrestling community was on this inaccurately. But all of a sudden over the weekend, somehow things morphed into Melina Perez killed in the California wildfires. And you're going, what the hell? Like, what? And all of this stemmed from a promoter that ended up being concerned for Melina because she did not return any of his phone calls. Apparently, she was supposed to do a event for him. I guess this person booked her for an event, and I don't know if it was a case where she was a no call, no show. I don't know what the hell it was, but all of a sudden, that right there turned into somehow wrestling dirt sheets, taking that and some going as far as to say she died in the California wildfires. And you just had all these, you know, there's misleading and then there's just outright lies of reporting. And what I saw going down over the weekend involving Melina was just outright lies. Luckily, there was a close friend of Melina's that took to social media and said, "Hey, you know, just want to let everybody know Melina's okay. Like she's totally fine." And they didn't spill the tea and going as far as detail about here's what was going on with her. They just said, "No, no, no, she's okay." I know one of the first things I did when I saw this crap going on, I actually went on Melina's social media pages. And I'm trying to see, okay, as far as last activity goes, what was going on here? I know as far as her Twitter goes, I think she hadn't posted anything since late November, maybe early December. So it's kind of like, okay, so hey, some people take a break. Okay, it is what it is. I didn't think to check her YouTube channel because I know she's been doing some stuff on her YouTube channel, but that is a perfect example right there. I bring this Melina story up and all that. We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful, especially in this day and age. You know, what you saw of some of those people with the dirt sheet websites and all that do, what you saw them partake in is basically going with very little information that was available, turning it into this big old spectacle of an event, all in the names and sensationalizing it at the same time, all in the name for clicks and all that. And then also, you've got fans, legit fans that mean well, and but when you're not taking the okay, I'm gonna kick back and I'm gonna wait to see more information become available. Let me just have that approach because this is too early. Hey, maybe something is else is going on. Maybe cell phone towers has been affected. Maybe she just went MIA for the holidays. Like, right. This is a prime example of it pays to wait until more information becomes available. Don't jump the gun. Like, you all remember when I was talking about my comment that went viral on that NBC reporter Leon Harris. I still get hate messages to this very day, by the way, about the comments that I made on social media because we have individuals that look at what I'm saying on social media and they're assuming that I'm assuming no, no, no. Actually, no. They're assuming that I'm telling misinformation when all I'm doing is expressing concern as a viewer. And I'm hoping that whatever is going on with this reporter, it's not XYZ. But that's not how some of these people are reading it. They're reading it another way. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between the crap that went down with Melina over the weekend and the stuff that I had said in regards to Leon Harris. Because if I really, really wanted to scratch the surface with Leon Harris on social media, I really could have. I really could have, such as this. This just kind of gives you a little taste. I was confident in posting what I was posting about Leon Harris because number one, for us here in the DC metropolitan area, we have seen his drunken episodes play out on the air before, not just on NBC, but previous years when he was on ABC. Now, let me peel the curtain back a little bit more. I've actually befriended people that at one point, because remember, I'm majoring in media production and journalism. So I'm about to get my associate's degree. I've actually befriended people that actually used to work at ABC. And without naming names, they told me, yeah, the reason why his contract did not get renewed with ABC is because of his drinking problem. Like he can't. And they were like the stories that I could tell you. I'm like, well, tell me one, or tell me two. That's all I gotta say. I actually got one story, and it was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna share that story because that's just meant for my ears only, right? But so there's a history, there's a documented history. There are people that hey, yes, this is right. Whereas the stuff that's going on with Melina, is amazing how all of that just came from thin air. All of that originated from a booker wondering where this woman was. And then it turns into she died in the wildfires. That's just crazy. That is just crazy. We'll talk a little bit more about jumping to conclusions and all that because we got an update on. Remember that wrestler Odyssey Jones? Looks like he was supposed to be part of the whole New Day and everything. Well, he finally broke his silence since his WWE termination last year. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Let's talk for now a little bit about Monday Night Raw for tonight. And to Chris in the chat, if you take your time and you just listen, you'll get your answer. Now, for those of you that maybe want quick results, like just go on, if you want to just read quick results, go on a website. I don't know, dumbmark.com. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be easy for me to just name this person defeated this person defeated that person, and we're done. Subscribe. That'd be very easy for me to say that. That'd be very lazy too, wouldn't it? Be very lazy. Nah, that's not how we do it though. But let's go through this card here for Monday Night Raw. You picked a great night to tune in. Just got a little taste of some other interesting little tidbits that we're going to be getting into for tonight's show. Again, tonight's Monday Night Raw. Great run time, 2 hours, 30 minutes. I'm glad that they dipped out when they did because it was starting to become a little bit long-winded. I felt like I was starting to eat a nothing burger and I was going, wrap this up already, wrap this up already. I like that they kicked things off with CM Punk. Nice, good words there. Because remember, Raw tonight, it was at the SAP Center in San Jose, California. So definitely appreciated the timing of WWE being out there, considering everything that we just mentioned in the opener and everything. Um, Great. I really hope that those that might have been displaced by these fires, hopefully they were able to take their minds off of all of that for a couple hours here with the entertainment that we were given and all that. CM Punk coming out extremely in euphoria over the fact that he beat Seth Rollins cleanly in the middle of the ring. He is moving on to new days, has his eyes set on the Royal Rumble, also takes a verbal shot at John Cena, letting him know he sees him, sees what he's trying to do and everything, but not so fast, homie. I got dibs on that Royal Rumble. I'm going to be the one that's going to be going to WrestleMania, take on a World Heavyweight Champion. Seth Rollins coming out. Punk cannot believe he still has to deal with this man. I don't know who it was on social media. I wish I could give them credit, but there's this WWE fan that did a great job in putting together a compilation of every single time Seth Rollins has interrupted CM Punk. And I know he's just going, ooh, another one. I'm just picturing him going back and editing and doing his thing with that one. Punk gave us something new, though, because this go round, he is looking over to Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, and he's literally on the microphone saying to them, why can't I have Rhea Ripley interrupt me? I love that line. I love that line. I'm going, dude, you would probably just lose it if Rhea Ripley, I mean, in a good way, because I am just picturing CM Punk fumbling and just I got him being sweating nervous in a good way if Rhea Ripley were to come out there. Rollins coming out, pretty much letting CM Punk know, hey, I told you, no matter what, I was going to be coming out the very next week. You got these dreams of going to WrestleMania and all that, trying to go to the Royal Rumble and win that. Well, my mission right now is to take that dream of yours and flush it down the toilet. And in order to do so, I'm going to enter the Royal Rumble. I'm going to win that bad boy because nothing is going to give me more joy than to toss your ass over that top rope and go on to win the Royal Rumble. So Punk kind of realizing what's going on here and like, okay, so you lost, right? Pretty much being a bitter bitch. And you just want to figure out some type of way. Okay, I see how this is working. So we got these two guys going back and forth. Drew McIntyre comes out, pretty much letting both of these guys know. Really, his issue was with Seth Rollins. His issue was with Seth Rollins because he says, "Hey, look, you guys, when it's all said and done, you got your eyes off the ball because the real issue that's going on here is Roman Reigns. And hey, Seth, at least I can respect you to a certain degree because when it came to teaming up with Roman Reigns, you didn't do it. So, mad props to you for that. Unlike the guy across from you, Rollins ain't trying to hear that. Punk ain't trying to hear that. They're ready to throw down. So put up or shut up. But McIntyre reminds them, yo, not even Jey Uso got involved in Roman Reigns' business over the Ula Fala last week. Even Jey Uso was smart about his business and just worrying about what was going on with him and McIntyre. Drew's there to remind the guys Roman Reigns is in this progress of trying to reclaim absolute power. And since these guys got their eyes off the ball and it would appear they're not trying to do the right thing, McIntyre's got no choice but to enter the Royal Rumble himself and ensure that Roman Reigns does not come anywhere close to a championship match opportunity coming up at WrestleMania. So if you're keeping tabs at home right now, we know McIntyre is in the Rumble, Punk's in the Rumble, Rollins is in the Rumble, Cena's in the Rumble, Roman Reigns is in the Rumble. What year is this? I mean, all those heavyweight names, yo. All those heavyweight names. I can't wait as we get closer, and we got like about 2+ weeks left. But I can't wait till we get a little bit closer to really break down that Royal Rumble as far as predictions goes, the number of surprises that we might have in store for Rumble. I'm looking forward to all of that because I think we're definitely going to be getting some surprises. Look, it ties into WWE, ties into Rumble Talk. We can take a little bit of a detour, but we'll circle back in a hot minute. But I don't know if you guys are aware, there's some rumors floating around that WWE may be interested in trying to bring back Ric Flair for the Royal Rumble. Basically, you've seen the trend now. You've seen how it's gone down with the Saturday night main events with some of the WWE PLEs. They have these legends that's in a legends box, or maybe they get their own exclusive front row seats, and they get their time in the sun, right? They get their acknowledgement and everything. So there's rumors right now that Ric Flair is potentially, just a rumor, that he might be at the Royal Rumble. Let me tell you something. My prediction, I think Ric Flair is going to get mixed reactions, if not right down to getting as many boos as the Hulkster did last week. Because we are at a point right now with Ric Flair where cue up Led Zeppelin's Nobody's Fault But Mine. But give me the slow acoustic version. Give me the version that was Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, the unleaded joint. Give me that version because you can really take in the lyrics more and everything. Look, Ric Flair. Where do I even with Ric Flair? Let me just the bullet points for now, right? I don't need to go over because that'd be too long-winded. But as a wrestling community, during the darkest moments of his life, we're like, oh, that's a tough break. When he lost his son Reed, we're like, oh, that's a tough break. Although there were some of us, I definitely was one of those that said, he kept using his fame. He kept using his connections to always try to get his son off the hook. And, in the end, that kind of, yeah, that's kind of nice to have. That's great when you're able to, have those connections and you can, try to use your celebrity influence. That's great, but it's a double-edged sword at the same time because it's also a enabler in the worst way possible. And we see how that played out with Reed at the end. Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. But then, we hear about Ric Flair's financial problems, and we're like, what's going on with this guy? How does he keep mismanaging his money like this? And it's like, okay, if you're in your 20s, your early 20s, okay. All right. But man, the game plan is supposed to be once you're in your 30s, really, once you're in your late 20s, you're thinking about, okay, where do I want to be by the time I'm 35? I need to stop playing around and I need to get on my grown folk shit already. Let me be about that grown folk business, right? But definitely by the time you're in your 30s, you're supposed to, right? That wasn't the case for Ric Flair. Gets into his 40s, gets into his 50s, and then you know the deal. Serious health issues that this man was having. You're going, damn, this is a case right here where he's got nobody to blame but himself. Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. And you're just like, come on, man. Like, this man was knocking on death's door. Remember that documentary? Remember that documentary, that ESPN documentary there, produced by Bill Simmons and the crew? Remember that? Well, maybe this go round, it'll be different for Ric Flair. Some of us were very optimistic. Now, a couple of years back, we watched this guy almost fucking die in the middle of a ring. He says that he had a couple of heart attacks in that match of his, what was supposed to be his final match. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. I do believe he had a couple of heart attacks in that damn thing. Now he has the audacity to talk about he's got one more match in him. Even his own son-in-law, Conrad Thompson, is going, I want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't even want to see that. We have seen him in relationship after relationship after relationship. How soon we forget. Does anybody remember when Ric Flair was verbally bashing Triple H Paul Levesque on his podcast? Remember that? I do. I remember Ric Flair bashing Paul Levesque left and right. Every time I would turn around, and whether he was saying it on his podcast or he was saying it on other podcasts as a guest, I remember Ric Flair going, "Oh yeah, Paul, he doesn't call me anymore. He thinks he's too good. I'm his best friend. I was at his wedding. He wanted nothing to do with me. Whoa, all this other shit." And then when everything really hit the fan with this guy, and he's just continuing to pile on, I want you guys to go back and look at that time period when Ric Flair was trashing on Triple H Paul Levesque. You'll find that pretty much during that whole timeline, and it baffled me. Longtime listeners will remember this because I remember saying the shows in which he went on, and even whoever was his co-host at the time. And I think this was whoever before Conrad stepped in as the regular co-host. Forgot who was it? Mark Madden? I'm trying to think who the guy was. But anyway, during that whole timeline, that was the period where Triple H was fighting for his life because he was having his own damn health issues. And I talked about it on the show. I said every single interview this guy was giving, and he was saying all this crap. You never saw the podcast hosts, the radio show hosts, push back and go, well, not for nothing, Rick, but Paul Levesque is kind of fighting for his life here. He did take a leave of absence because of his health, and not to mention some of the stuff that's going on with Vince McMahon. Gee, I don't know. You think maybe it's just not a good time for him right now? Bombed miserably over in AEW. Couldn't even get his energy drink off on the right note. Couldn't really contribute to AEW worth a damn. And whatever ideas that he did have was just outright, that sucks. Boy, they sent him packing real quick over there in AEW. I hope WWE stays as far away from Ric Flair as possible. Seriously, just stay away from him. He's just not needed. He's just not needed. Sadly, we're in this position now where the younger fans of today, the younger wrestling fans of today, okay, I kind of know who this person is about, but seriously, why should I give a damn about them? Why should I bend over backwards for this person? Like, honestly, I didn't grow up on them. So why should I? I mean, I'll give you a golf clap, but I'm not going to do anything more or anything less. Like, why should I? No, learn from the Hulk Hogan thing and stay as far away from Ric Flair as possible would be my best advice. That is one star that you can do without. But one great star that WWE can do very well with is Penta. Penta making his in-ring debut, the worst kept secret in the entire world. If you went with somebody else, shame on you. But Penta taking on Chad Gable, what a fantastic debut. Chad Gable really, really embracing this official Kurt Angle phase that he's in with the whole attire, the "you suck" chants. He is really embracing it. And I love that. I love that. He is literally, it's a much slower path though that Chad Gable is taking. I just hope that the payoff is going to be coming. And remember what I had said last week, maybe the week before, as far as I hope that Chad Gable really has a big breakout year in 2025, because any and everything that is being asked of him, Chad Gable is doing that and then some. What I mean by that is Chad Gable has been laying down on his back a lot more, even leading up to his contract renewal. He's been laying on his back more, putting over others. And, it's about including tonight. Look, you couldn't ask, if you were a huge Penta fan, you couldn't ask for a bigger debut than right there in California. And we know that there are a bunch of Latinos, Latinas that love their WWE, that love their wrestling. That is a well-known fact. So to have Penta debut in San Jose, California, very smart move on WWE's part. Very smart move. The great ovation that Penta got, I thought it was going to be mid at best. I'm not saying he got like a John Cena Rock type of ovation, but it was definitely, let me put it to you this way. You know how Lyra Valkyria continues to get golf claps? If you were maybe expecting for there to be golf claps there for Penta, not the case whatsoever. I got goosebumps. I got a little emotional seeing Penta have this great moment just all together, because I'm going, man, I remember watching this guy in Lucha Underground, working for this little rinky-dinky little shindig of an indie promotion that only hardcore fans really knew about at best, and was following his work over there. And then pretty much was a fan of Penta ever since. and to see him, eventually, I remember them briefly, Lucha Brothers. I remember briefly they did a little something in TNA, but AEW for sure. Look, it started off kind of solid there in AEW, and then all of a sudden, Tony Khan and them, they just dropped the ball big time. They dropped the ball big time on those guys. The overall presentation, I cannot stress it enough. When you are part of that WWE system, WWE, especially now more than ever, because of the team that they have in place, they truly know with their respective resources and creative how to really map out a wrestler's debut, the first couple of feuds, that person will be involved with. They really do a good job in trying to map out, okay, this is what's going to happen with you in the first 30 days of programming, 60 days, 90 days. They really got everything mapped out so beautifully. And you could not ask for a better debut. I mean, I think of Lyra Valkyria. I think of Kaden Carter. I think of Katana Chance. I think of Karrion Cross, the first rodeo on the main roster. I think about Braun Breaker and the first rodeo of him on the main roster, and like just so many that have been hiccups. But then I think about those that, okay, no, just out the gate, you did this right. Kevin Owens, fantastic. They did this right with Penta. I loved it. High marks, definitely the biggest selling point of the entire night, as far as I was concerned. And those boys went pretty damn long. They went about at least, seemed like they were pushing 20 minutes, give or take. Put a classic on there. Penta picking up the win, coming in with the sacrifice, which was basically that wishbone arm breaker move of his, and then hitting the what does he call that? The Penta effect. I'm trying to think of the name of his finisher. But yeah, pretty much picking up the win that way. Great debut. To see his daughter getting so emotional, crying, that got to me. At first, I thought it was just a fan, but people were very quick to point out, no, that's his family. And then, sure enough, that same little girl, he went over to, and people were confirming, yeah, that's his daughter. It's like, oh, that's badass. I'm happy that he's with WWE. Nothing but good things is gonna happen. Of course, we're already thinking about dream matches and everything. A lot of us already got penciled in there. Penta taking on Rey Mysterio. Hell, I'd be down with Penta and Dominic Mysterio. Let that go down for WrestleMania. I totally would be game for that one. But high marks, good stuff right there by both guys. Was paying attention to the ad breaks for tonight, which led to a polling question I have for you guys. And you might find this interesting. I don't know. But take note of this. During tonight's broadcast, I counted one 3-minute ad. If they weren't doing a 3-minute ad, they were doing a 2-minute, 30-second ad. So when you add them all up, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ad breaks. 9 ad breaks. So when you add all that up, 3, 6, 11, 14, 17, 24 minutes. You're looking at about 24, 25 minutes in ad breaks for those of you that's keeping track at home. So minus the 25 minutes in ad breaks, and tonight's show was 2 hours and 30 minutes. There you go. So basically Oh, okay. So most of that pretty much was going towards in-ring action, Lee. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Yeah, I would say out of 100% as far as the in-ring action goes, I would give that roughly felt like a 90%. Felt like a 90%, and then the 10% was going to pretty much promo stuff. That's not too shabby, right? I mean, that's really not too shabby. So keep track of that. Now that I've said to you, hey, about 25 minutes and ad breaks, let's see if that continues to be the new norm going forward. And basically, you're talking about what I say, 9 ad breaks, basically, right? So let's see what happens going forward if it's going to be the same. I'm just thinking back to what Triple H Paul Levesque said during the Raw post show last week, which is, a lot of people think that we're taking more ad breaks when it's the same amount of ads. Nothing's changed. It's the same amount of ads. It's just the way that we have to play around with them, which the way that they did over on the USA network. Now they have more flexibility now that they're over on Netflix, but they do have to meet a certain amount of ads, committed ads that they need to go through because it's their sponsors at the end of the day. It's the sponsors. They want to make sure that they're taken care of and everything. And before anybody asked, there was no picture in picture breaks. When they took these ad breaks, it was full blown. So they transitioned from whatever was happening in the ring to go to that respected ad break. And I like the fact that when we got these ad breaks, we got a little counter bar in the upper right hand corner letting us know, hey, this is what's going on. Now, I know some people are like, hey, it's 2025. Why go through ad breaks? Why not go through a VPN? And it's the simple reason. Look, for those of you that have the money and you can afford to do a VPN, God bless you. Seriously, God bless you. Me personally, like that starts to add up after a while, right? You already are paying for your internet subscription. You're already paying for your music monthly service, Spotify or whoever. You're already paying for however you're getting your entertainment package, Hulu, YouTube TV, whatever. So you got all of that going on top of your internet package. You're probably paying for a cell phone, right? A cell phone bill. Heaven forbid, you're also paying for monthly car insurance. Heaven forbid if you're paying rent, mortgage, whatever. Okay. It's a lot of financial responsibility. So, my whole point, your money's running very, very thin. Not everybody is going to have that extra money to jump out there and go, yeah, I can go get me VPN. All right. I know that's the craze. That's the talk right now. You're like VPN, 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 VPN. And it's like, well, not everybody has VPN money because everything else that they're currently paying for, they really can't do without. So unless you're going to give them some money to go to VPN route, it's kind of one of those, just stay in your lane, brother, sister, stay in your lane. Let's get to that poll. Wanted to know if you all were noticing more ad breaks this week or if it was about the same. Here's where we stand right now. 21% of you all said no, about the same. 29% of you said no, Lee, because I get no ads. So that is either a VPN situation or it's an international situation. Because remember the poll that we did last week where a lot of you guys were saying, no, I'm not dealing with ads. I think going into next Monday, what we're going to need to do when we put the poll out in regards to ads, break that down even more to find out who's doing VPN versus what the hell is a VPN? Because there's a lot of people like, what the hell is a VPN? Right. Meanwhile, 50%, so not by much, 50% of you are saying, yeah, I'm noticing more ad breaks. Appreciate everybody that cast their votes there on that one. Sheamus taking on Ludwig Kaiser while Braun Breaker was in attendance. Looking on here, you're looking at Braun Breaker, you're going, yeah, there's definitely going to be some trash talking going on here. The only question is it going to be with Kaiser or is it going to be with Breaker? What's which man? I'm looking at it. I'm going, well, personally, I wouldn't mind Sheamus and Breaker. That would be a pretty damn good matchup. I feel personally, and when you know it, I pretty much had got my wish. Sheamus, Kaiser, about an 8 minute, maybe a 9 minute match. Good stuff, solid effort by both guys. The fact that Sheamus got the win, I'm okay with it because by no stretch does it hurt Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser's stock is still on the rise. And Kaiser can instantly come right back and just be one mean ass Tanya Harding. You know, I mean, he could easily just come right back with a shillelagh and just on the knee there of Sheamus with no issue whatsoever. So I'm down with that. Good competitive outing. It's matches like this that reminds me, that Ludwig Kaiser, he may look a little feminine to some people. He may look like a bitch, but no, he's got some serious toughness to him. You notice to the point, very seldom I call him Conan O'Brien now. Used to be a time where I would just call him Conan O'Brien. Now I'm starting to show this man the proper respect because he's winning me over week in and week out there. Sheamus, of course, I got my wish. Going over to Braun Breaker, talking trash. Official separates them. We find out later on that coming up on that Saturday night's main event on January 25th, Braun Breaker and Sheamus will be fighting each other, and that beautiful Intercontinental Championship will be on the line. So we got that. Also, backstage segment. Seth Rollins. I can't remember. I believe it was Jackie Redmond. Jackie Redmond catches up with Seth Rollins as she found out that Adam Pearce made the match official. Next Monday night on Raw, it'll be Rollins taking on Drew McIntyre one-on-one. Rollins can't wait to get his hands on McIntyre. He owes him one anyway from a couple of months ago. As Rollins is trying to make his exit, he runs into Sami Zayn, who lets him know, hey, man, here for you. You ever want to talk? Get some stuff off your chest? Here for you. Rollins comes right back talking about, last week was pretty rough for me, but not for you. You had a pretty good week. Sami Zayn's looking on pretty perplexed, wondering, what are you talking about exactly? It's like, well, your boy, Roman Reigns, he got his Ulafala back. Yeah, look at that. You helped him out at the War Games before that. And now what's next, huh? You're going to help this guy at the Royal Rumble? You're going to help this guy at WrestleMania? When are you going to be done helping people like Roman Reigns and others and start helping yourself? Basically, when you going to get yours? Very nice question to leave Seth Rollins with because, seems like every time you turn around, for the most part, Sami Zayn is always fighting somebody else's battles, getting involved in somebody else's battles, as opposed to just really letting it be all about himself. Even when you go back and you look at his Intercontinental Championship. Look at how all of that pretty much had came to be. He got involved. I mean, really stop and think about it. So some harsh words, but definitely rings true what Rollins was talking about there. Things that make you go, Loved it. Good stuff right there. Speaking of things that make you go, got to give a shout out to my boy, Karrion Kross. I loved how he was stirring the pot this week because leading up to all of this with Sami Zayn and Rollins. Karrion Kross was talking with The Miz, and Sammy had appeared. He wanted to know if Adam Pearce was in the office, and Karrion's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And he stopped him, and he has a few words with him. And that was a nice exchange. I like that. I like how they have Karrion Kross. He really, it's a combination slash partnership deal here that's going on. I like the fact that Karrion is doing his best. I'm not telling you something that you don't already know, and we've heard him cut that line before. I love that, but I also appreciate the fact that creatively, this guy Karrion Kross and WWE, they are just okay. So where are we going here? Okay, so this could apply to us if we go this route. And I like that Karrion is in this instigator role. He is in the shadows, and he is just pulling these strings. I don't know, for you gamers out there, it almost kind of reminds me of the Telltale Batman game, where when we're finally introduced to the Joker, like we know it's the Joker, but he's not acknowledging himself as Joker. He's calling himself something else, but we know it's the Joker because of his hair and his his skin tone, and all that, his pigment, because of all that. But we see how he is basically playing the system here. It's almost equivalent to what we saw Penguin do on the Max series, moving certain pieces at play, and then look who just came in at the very end and swoop. That's exactly what's going on here with Karrion Kross. I freaking love it because Karrion Kross basically manipulated Miz into a match against Sami Zayn. It was beautiful the way this was executed. I'm just nodding my head going, look at this motherfucker Kross stirring it up. I loved it. It was good. They are finally finding the right stride with Kross. And I love that because before it was just, what are we doing here? And I know that there's still a decent amount of people that's looking at Karrion Kross and they're going, I'm not really seeing it. I'm not really feeling it. Yeah, I think it's one of those you just have to give it time. I'll tell you what will really be keys to success for Kross in WWE in 2025. And they're starting to take their cues little by little. The stuff that he does on social media that is basically great companion pieces to whatever story arc he's involved in on television, that is more riveting than what's going on with him when we get him on our TVs. And it seems that WWE is finally taking note of what's going on with Kross on social media, and they're starting to incorporate, so it's now starting to complement one another, and as a result, the guy's getting a little bit more leeway. So, if you're a Kross fan, you're definitely liking what's going on there. Let's talk about, to Maria's point in the chat, let's talk about that women's Intercontinental Championship final there between Lyra Valkyria and Dakota Kai. Was that new music there for Dakota Kai? That was my first time hearing that entrance theme music. If that was new, I think they need to go back to the drawing board. It has potential, but I think they need to go back to the drawing board. Maybe just do one that is instrumental. I personally feel do one that's instrumental and see how that plays. I really don't think they need the vocals because the instrumentals, it sounds really good. And then once you start hearing the vocals, you're like, yeah, no. Speaking of instrumentals, Penta's theme, that theme kicks ass. It's just an instrumental hard rock type of music. Great guitar riffs, pretty much was all over that track. I like that, and drums as well. I like that. I like that song of his. I don't think they need to play around with that anymore. They capture the spirit, what he's all about, and everything. By the way, I was curious to see how many AEW talents were going to be like, "Hey, that's what's up, Penta." Yeah, yeah, that's what's up. And the only one that I had saw in my feed so far was Thunder Rosa. Without mentioning his name, she, in a nutshell, I'm paraphrasing, she said, "It's so nice to see your friends be able to accomplish their lifelong dream." And she pretty much was congratulating Penta. And you knew exactly who she was talking about there. I would like to believe that who was Penta's is it Alex? I would like to believe without a doubt Alex said something on social media. I would definitely like to believe he said something on social media. We already know Ray Phoenix most likely he most likely said something because he's pretty much on his way out the door. Going back to Penta one more time. I really hope that Tony Khan, AEW, and crew paid very close attention and are going to continue to pay very close attention to how Penta is being handled in the next couple of weeks. Because if you were to ask me straight up, hey, should these guys be kicking themselves in the ass right now for pretty much fumbling big time with the Lucha Brothers? Yeah, they should. I can remember many times when I was reviewing AEW Rampage over on the 401 Mania site, I would always sing the praises of Ray Phoenix and Penta, especially when they were involved in singles matches. And I would always make the argument, yo, these guys, they would be great as respected world heavyweight champions. And only like out of 100%, there's like maybe 1% of folks that thought, "Oh, that's too crazy, Lee." Like no. But everybody else, yeah, under the right story arc, hell yeah, Lee. Like, yeah, you definitely are onto something there. Yeah, why not? Why not? Like these guys, they got the experience, super mad over with the crowds. Like, yeah, why not? And to just see how AEW fumbled those guys. You know what? I want to show some love too to because somebody had made a comment to me on Twitter. Where is this guy? Shout out to Brian Robinson. He said, "I can't believe I went from watching Penta Jr. take light tubes over his head from Vampiro to watching him wrestle a classic against Chad Gable." Yeah, it definitely was classic. And then Pogo Fanatic, who said this, didn't watch him in AEW much, but he has that aura about him, and I like what I see. Gable was 100% the best dance partner for him. Yeah, damn, damn good stuff right there. But I really hope Tony Khan and them are watching, because it doesn't matter how many people that you have signed to your roster. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you throw at them. What ultimately matters is how are you properly utilizing these talents that you've acquired on television. Yeah, you're not going to be able to feature certain individuals every single week, but are you doing enough that continues to have that talent stock be right up there and everything? Are you doing enough in making sure that these men and women know that they are greatly appreciated, that they definitely are valued, and most importantly, they are respected? because all of that, it's got to be cohesive. And when you don't have all of that perfect harmony, if you even got one fracture between any of those and you don't patch it up, then you're ultimately gonna lose that person. It applies to the real world, fam. It applies to the real world. There are people, I've experienced it. I know many of you all have as well. You've worked for the same employer maybe in the past. You know, you always give it your all. You go in there, you put in 110% of an effort, and you're looking at the money. The money, it might be right. Money might be right for you, but you don't feel respected. You don't feel valued. Now, some people, God bless you, some people will feel that, hey, that paycheck, that's all that matters. And they feel like they're being valued. But you got others that, nah, man, when those books open, it's time for me to get mine. It's time for me to move up. And, they pass me for this other person or what have you. That stings. That stings. And you just go back and you just look at Penta and Ray's poor handling and AEW these last handful of months. And you're going, no way, no how, especially considering the fact that, those guys can still go. No way, no how do you have them be on the sidelines that damn long? No, no. So I'm looking forward to when Ray Phoenix pops up in the WWE. That's just going to be a matter of time. Gunther, Jey Uso having a battle of words. Jey Uso trying to challenge Gunther, wanting another crack at the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther pretty much saying, you need to stay in your lane because all you is just a tag team specialist. Do you really want me to fight you again? Do you really want me to humiliate you yet again? And Jey Uso said to Gunther straight up, yo, I know what you saying. Make no mistake about it. I respect the hell out of you. And I hear all the chatter that's been put out there about me. And it's why I challenge myself. It's why I continue to rise to the occasion. It's why I continue to bet on myself. And as far as Jey Uso is concerned, he's going to get that validation when he becomes a new world heavyweight champion. So the challenge has been made and it's been accepted. Gunther, Jey Uso, they're going to fight for the world heavyweight championship January 25th on Saturday night's main event. By the way, shout out to WWE for incorporating more. They really learned from that Netflix premiere last week. They incorporated the mini drone. They brought that. They're still playing around with that, fine tuning it. I can tell, but I appreciated the fact that they brought that element back. And it really does give a whole new dynamic feeling, appreciation for Jey Uso's entrance in particular. Whole new dynamic. I'm telling you, some of this stuff that they are playing around with, I hope that they'll be able to incorporate this in the next 2K game. Maybe as a part of a patch, even they can hook that up and all. Let's see. We got a couple of more matches left. Rhea Ripley, she did cut a promo. Basically, how sweet it is to be the women's champion again. It got interrupted rather quickly. Bailey was in the house, but she was just in attendance. But she did get involved there. It looks like as far as this whole transfer, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this whole transfer thing in a little bit, because boy, some help is needed. But Nia Jax talking with Adam Pearce, she's very interested in the transfer window. She pretty much was letting it be known, yo, I'm what's causing all this. I'm the hype. I'm the beast. I'm the woman to beat. I'm all that in a bag of chips. I'll tell you what, I did like the cougar outfit that Nia Jax was wearing tonight. I ain't gonna lie to you, fam. I ain't gonna lie to you. I like the outfit. It definitely, hey, it wet my noodle, man. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I just was going, damn. It kind of had a Peggy Bundy meets meets Rosie Perez meets Soul Train vibe. I don't know why, but that I like the outfit personally. Round like a dungeon dragon. That's all I gotta say. Nia Jax though, calling San Jose a poor, dumb, nasty town. I love that line, man. She got instant heat from the crowd. That's one way to put a crowd down if you're a bad guy. That's one unique way of doing it. Bailey hopping over the guardrail, getting into the face of Nia. Pretty much got physical. Bailey getting the upper hand over that. That's pretty much to be continued. Let's see. Sami Zayn versus Miz. Pretty much quick work. Sami Zayn getting the easy dub over Miz. I'm trying to think if something had happened afterwards. I'm just looking at my notes. I don't think anything had happened afterwards. Yeah, that was like the shortest match of the night too. It was like 4 minutes. You know what? Forgive me. We didn't talk more about Lyra Valkyria and Dakota Kai. Forgive me for that there. Dakota Kai coming up short against Lyra Valkyria. That's about close to a 10-minute match. Solid effort, solid women's match. I will say that it was a solid women's match by both of the girls. Lyra getting her first main roster title. Look, the only thing you can say at this point, or at least the only thing I'm willing to say at this point is all right, Lyra is now the man, so to speak. So let's see what happens with her going forward. The crowd is still indifferent to her. They are still in that honeymoon phase. They are still trying to figure her out and everything. And I don't know if I don't know. I think this current gimmick that's going on with Lyra, I think there might need to be some type of a repackaging, so to speak. And it's so interesting because you know who she reminded me a lot of from last week when she had her hair out and all of that. Or maybe what's throwing me off is the video graphic that was used last week. She kind of had like a Soraya vibe going on, but that's not who she reminded me of. But when you really stop and think about it, yeah, there's like a little mini Soraya going on there. She kind of reminds me, and I don't know if this is what she's trying to go for, but she reminds me of the virtuosa, Diana Perazzo. And because I'm looking at Lyra Valkyria right now, this current gimmick, and I'm going, so what's your thing? What are you about? Like, Becky Lynch is the man. Nia Jax is the unstoppable force. Naomi is the glow chick. Jade Cargill is the powerhouse, the strength, the beauty, an absolute goddess. Bianca Belair is the EST. Um, Rhea Ripley, she's your worst nightmare or your beautiful worst nightmare. Lyra Valkyria, I'm going. "Ugh." So if she's trying to go for a virtuosa type of thing, then that's going to need some fine tuning. That's going to need some tweaking. I personally feel because I think her character needs to be more flushed out, and it needs to be a character in which a lot of fans can get behind. The one thing that I'm noticing about Lyra And Dakota has this same issue as well. Look, both women beautifully talented in their own respective rights, but they don't interact enough with the fans. And it's okay because they haven't quite flushed out their own character. But until they're able to really flush out that character, that's really the only true way they're going to be able to really connect with the WWE fans. So go back. Now that I've said that, for those of you that haven't watched Raw yet, go back and watch this match and just notice how the girls, they're more concerned about their matches, right? They're more concerned about the match than interacting with the crowd, feeding off of the crowd, playing up to the crowd. I mean, that's great. You can go out there and do the moves and everything, but emotional context, that's what we need. That's very important. So Lyra's the champion. I don't think anybody doubted this. I remember looking at the brackets, talking about the brackets with you all as soon as it first became available. And I said, look, if I'm eyeballing somebody here to win it all, Lyra Valkyria is that one. That's the one I'm eyeing. That's who they went with here tonight. So now the fun challenge is going to be going forward as the inaugural Intercontinental Women's Champion. Can she keep the momentum going? As far as the matches, yeah, but the character development, that's what's really going to be key. That's what I'm going to be looking out for in the coming weeks. So should you, because that's going to be the tail of the tape right there. Main event match, Street Fight Finn Balor taking on Damian Priest. Damian Priest picking up the win, and that was despite the fact that we saw other Judgment Day members come out there trying to interfere, overbooked. But it did add the right kind of element to this street fight for all intents and purposes and everything. I'm glad that they blew off this feud because honestly, it was staggering. It was dragging for many months. And if this is going to be the final blow off and you got the whole transfer window, by the looks of it, we very well are going to be seeing Judgment Day get broken up. I'm all fine for it. I'm all fine for it. Anytime we're in a position where, okay, Sheamus, Ludwig, Kaiser, pretty much one more time because somebody's getting transferred. Okay, great. Damian Priest versus Finn Balor one more time because, we're getting ready to do this transfer thing. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. At this point, Balor should get the fresh start going over to SmackDown. I just want to see Damian Priest, now that this is pretty much behind him with the Judgment Day. Now I want to see Damian Priest come out there. I hear the voice of the voiceless. I hear the visionary. I hear the you can't see me man. I hear the tribal chief. But the only one that matters is the high priest, right? Damian Priest. Like, let's see him already make his declaration because he's going to be involved in the Royal Rumble as well. So look, Raw wasn't 3 hours. Love the flexibility though that they have with this. A solid episode. I think the main two selling points: Penta's debut and the street fight. And for all intents and purposes, definitely a nice honorable mention to the women's IC championship match. Love the fact that they are setting up the Saturday night's main event joint. All around, pretty well-rounded, solid episode. Let's see what you guys had to say about tonight's Monday Night Raw. To the polling we go now. Let's go to Twitter at the RCWR show. See how you guys voted. All right, so 11% of you are saying did not enjoy it at all. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? 30% of you said it was an average show, and 59% of you are saying it was a awesome show. Appreciate you guys that voted via Twitter. Let's see what you guys had to say over on YouTube, youtube.com/the RCWR show. All right, let's click on that. Boom, there we go. Wow, we got a 60-40 split. 40% of you are saying you did not enjoy it at all, while 60% of you are saying it was a awesome show. Very interesting. Keep the voting. Definitely keep the comments coming in. But that pretty much was Raw in a nutshell. So some other things that we can give me a second here. A nutshell. So some other things that we can get into here on tonight's show. Where do we go here? Where do we go here? Let's go with Odyssey Jones. Odyssey Jones. We were teasing it earlier, but in case you missed it, it looks like Odyssey Jones had finally broke his silence since his WWE termination last year. And I have a very interesting. I have a very interesting. Bear with me a second here. I have a very interesting. I'm trying to see where he gave this interview to. So let's get you guys caught up this way. So Omari Palmer, Odyssey Jones, looks like he was granted an order of protection against his ex-partner for alleged harassment. So apparently there is court records that indicate the former WWE wrestler Odyssey Jones, real name Omari Palmer, was granted an order of protection against his former partner going back September of last year, shortly after reports emerged of his release from WWE. Palmer's termination from WWE was reportedly related to domestic violence allegations, although the company has not publicly commented on the reasons for his release. I think that's very, very important to highlight because for all we know, it just kind of gets you guys caught up to speed. There was this social media account way back in that time frame where there was an individual that was posting a series of tweets of posts why they felt that Odyssey Jones needed to be investigated, and they were mentioning their personal experience directly with them, talking about the forms of abuse that they suffered at the hands of Omari Palmer. So, full context right there. Now, in his petition to the circuit court in Orange County, Florida, Palmer alleged he was the target of multiple incidents of harassment and threats from his ex partner, stemming from an incident on a cruise ship in May of last year, which he says included physical attacks against him. Palmer claimed, according to court filings, that his ex partner's behavior was escalating and that he felt he was in imminent danger. Legal documents do not include statements from Palmer's ex partner. And to date, there are no known criminal charges or arrests that have been made related to these incidents. So going back to September 6th of 2024, looks like that's where Palmer was first granted a temporary injunction for protection against dating violence, a court order intended to restrict contact or proximity with a person named in the petition, often in response to allegations of abuse or harassment. Judge Allison Crestes has since extended the order twice, first for 2 months on September 17th through November 17th last year, And then again last Monday, so January 6th, for an additional 3 years into early 2028. This means Palmer will continue to have legal protections against any contact or harassment from his ex partner during this period. Palmer's petition indicates that he and his ex partner began dating in 2017, but separated in 2018. He claims he had an order of protection against her in 2018 in Suffolk County, New York. He added that she attempted to file for an order of protection against him at the time as well, but he stated in the petition that her case was denied. The relationship, get this, resumed again in 2023, according to Palmer, although they did not live together. Palmer also mentioned a December 2023 incident at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale in which he alleges his ex partner showed up uninvited and unannounced and attacked him in front of his friend and other witnesses. One of the incidents described in the petition allegedly occurred during a May 2024 cruise in the Caribbean, where Palmer alleges that his ex partner, intoxicated at the time, physically attacked him. She believed I interacted inappropriately with another female. Palmer's petition to the court stated about the incident on the cruise ship. She became increasingly more irate and started punching, slapping, and kicking me. She was screaming at me the whole time. I attempted to defend myself from her attack by hugging her arms to her side. Palmer claimed that his ex-partner was taken into custody on the ship and removed from the room they shared, and he believes she was later picked up from the ship by her family. After the incident, she has made numerous threats to get me back in any way she can. Palmer's petition from September 5th reads, she has made up lies about me and went as far as to contact my new place of employment and succeeded in getting me fired this week. This seems to, of course, the termination with WWE and everything. So over the weekend, Palmer had posted on social media to address the situation, saying, and I quote, I'm making this video to address the false allegations. These false claims are coming from a party that I used to prior engage with. And I apologize for taking so long to address these false claims, but I had to patiently wait to get an injunction set in place to protect my family, my friends, and myself. Currently taking legal action against that party, so I can't speak too much more on it, but there will be more information to come. He also talked about how he appreciated his time in WWE, thanking those basically responsible and helping him ultimately get to the main roster, getting the television time and all that. He also mentioned that pretty soon he will be taking bookings. So that's where we stand right now with this whole Odyssey Jones and the whole allegation situation. Look, there's one side, there's another side, and somewhere in there is the truth. I don't know if we as a wrestling community are ever going to finally get the definitive, okay, here's what really happened. One thing that I am homing in on is this one incident where she came to this event, whatever was going on, this function that he was having with maybe friends, family, whatnot, and she appears at this thing uninvited and got verbal. And if in fact, just kind of going back to that, was it physical? Yeah, screaming the whole time, had to defend himself by hugging her arms to her side, put right. So, if you got witnesses at some of these incidents, that's definitely going to bode well in his favor. And law enforcement, lawyers, upon cross examination, they're going to have their own ways in determining whether or not, these so called witnesses, whether or not they're BSing, it's a rehearsed story, right? They're going to be able to fine tune all of that. For the judge, one other thing that I find very noteworthy here, kind of eyebrow raising, the fact that she tried to get a petition from the court, against him, right? She tried to get a restriction and all that, and the judge denied it at the same time that he put one in, but his was accepted. I don't think that was really a case of which one did the judge get first, or who was first, which one's first. I don't think it was a case of that whatsoever. I think it was more, okay, you want this, right? Prove to me why you want this. Validate the reasons why the court should rule in your favor in awarding you this junction. And he was able to prove it. Obviously, he had more at his disposal to show, hey, look, there's cause for concern here, versus whatever she maybe was submitting. This isn't me taking up sides. This is just us having a conversation, trying to make sense out of what we just read along together here and everything. So I think where Palmer messed up is, okay, well, if you've got all of this toxicity that's going on here, why would you get back with this person? Even if it's a case where, well, I'm not in love with them. The sex is just really good. It's kind of one of those, yeah, but do you understand the mixed signals that you're giving this individual? And as a result of those mixed signals, what it can create. That is not the type of individual that, let's just assume that what he's saying is true. That's the most difficult position that a person can put themselves in, because yeah, one minute everything could be good with that partner, but then the next minute it's whoa. Okay, this almost has a Kimberly vibe to it, does it not? And you're just thinking about what had happened there with what was the guy's name, Zachary Wentz. Just thinking back to how all that had, seemed like the guy was having a nice bright career ahead of him, and whew, the way that just blew up. And you respect the hell out of WWE for going, okay, yeah, we got to just hands off, because this is just much like with Odyssey Jones. Hey, yo, this is hands off, because we're gonna have sponsors, and we can redo this Netflix thing. Like we can't be having all of this going on. And that sucks for those guys. And speaking of Kimberly, I think she has court coming up. I think first quarter of this year, if I'm not mistaken. When I come back on the air with you guys the next go around, I'll have the court information for y'all. But I remember briefly coming across it, going, okay, cool. But yeah, she has a trial coming up. That much I remember for sure. So this may sound really crazy. Like, it'd be very easy for listeners that's hearing this story with him going, oh, I can't believe. Let me tell you something. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I was sharing this two, three, four, five bedroom townhome with these people. Very, very nice. They were all pretty cool. This one guy particularly, his name was Miguel, and he was half black, half Puerto Rican. And he was dating this fine ass looking Latina. Oh man, she was fine. And every time she would come around, she was smitten. Like you could tell this girl, she really, really loved Miguel. She really cared for him, all of that. But the way Miguel kind of treated her, you could see clear as day he wasn't feeling her like that. So it was very easy, to my point, it was very easy to see that main reason why he was benefiting from this relationship, it was a transactional relationship. What do I mean by transactional? Well, when he needed to drive somewhere, she had the car. When he needed some money, she was there. You know, things like that. As far as sex goes, oh my God, we saw him bring all different types of women. So, and she knew all of this, but she loved this guy. Well, Miguel did not love her. So, we would we would be right there when the shit went down. I remember one time they got into this huge argument where she was tired of this guy always cheating. And she starts smacking him around, all this stuff. And, we can hear the smacks clear as day. We can hear him telling her, stop, stop, you better stop, or, you need to get out. He ended up calling the cops. She gets arrested, and she's saying, oh, well, I want him arrested too, because, and it's like the cops are like, did anybody um, see her get hit by him? Because she was claiming that she got hit by him. And we're like, no, no, if anything, well, in my case, I was in my room with my door shut, but apparently some of the other roommates, they had saw what went down, and she was the one that was doing all the hitting, right? At one point, Miguel had got a temporary restraining order, and hmm, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Very weird relationship. Like, I don't know. Some people, they are drawn to that type of toxicity and all that other crap. Some people like drama, right? But you would just like to believe in this day and age, especially when this is what I'll never understand. And this is why I'm kind of struggling with this topic here, because one thing that I personally don't understand, no matter how much older I get, okay, if you have this dream, this aspiration, this career goal that is within sight, it is very obtainable. Why are you surrounding yourself around individuals that could be a detriment to your success in that respected industry? Like, no, no, no. I understand loyalty, but I would rather be loyal to somebody that, hey, when the chips were down, I needed a place to stay, or I needed some money to keep my lights on. They were always there for me. They would always be there to lend me an ear. They were the definition of a really good friend, really good partner, whatever. I would rather invest in somebody that wasn't about the drama, the controversy, and all that other shit, versus something like what we just talked about involving Odyssey Jones and this weird ex of his, who ultimately ended up being a detriment to what he was trying to do and living out his dream. So, very and then let me tell you something. You got some individuals, even when you do things the right way and you cut off those individuals that are a detriment, that are definitely toxic. The devil is always pulling the strings in the shadows. And what I mean by that is you could be 3, 4, 5, 10 years removed from that person ever being in your life. Well, guess what? When they find out that you're doing well, you're doing 10 times better than where they are in their life, guess what? They can't take self accountability for where they are in their life. Instead, they got to blame you, even though it's been 3, 4, 5, 10, however many years, you're to blame. And so they will try to figure out ways to get back at you. And if one of those ways is to, and I'm not saying this is what this girl did to Odyssey Jones, well, some people will do some online bullshit, smear campaign bullshit, and the rest is pretty much history. So remember what we were talking about earlier? Don't be so quick to jump the gun when you hear certain things. You want to just, okay, that's out there. All right, I'm going to have that in the back of my head. Let's see this as it continues to develop. To the point, Neil Gaiman, one of the most respected people that I love, respect, appreciate big time. He's a writer, creator of, he's done a lot of graphic novels and everything, but in the comic book industry, he is known for giving us Sandman. I'm not talking about the Spider-Man villain. He's also known, that's Sandman under, I think it was under the DC Comics Vertical line. He's also known for, oh, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Sandman, and what was the other one? Oh, shit. I'm drawing a blank. I am drawing a blank. Sandman, what was the other one? For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on the other one. And I had posted about this on, give me a second here, because I know somebody's going to try to jog my memory in the chat, but I ended up posting it on YouTube. And for some reason, my internet is not loading. Oh, there we go. Now it's loading up. All right. That was kind of weird. Preacher. That's the other one I was thinking. Sandman and Preacher. That's what he was. He made the news. Variety put out this explosive article within the past 24 hours. And there are some allegations that's out about him and his cruelty to women. Does not look good whatsoever. I don't appreciate the fact too, by the way, that, Variety, you've got this story and you want to put it behind a paywall. Come on, man. Don't do that. That's not cool at all. So this article, I'm trying to see if I can find just the bullet points rather than, here we go. Shout out to Discussing Film, because they pretty much got the main meat and potatoes of what the article was citing here. Apparently, there's been a case where more women have come forward with sexual assault and abuse allegations against Neil Gaiman. One woman who was the babysitter for Gaiman's son was allegedly raped multiple times by him. Gaiman would address her as slave and himself as master, so much so that Gaiman's son even began to address her as slave. Gaiman also allegedly had sex with her while speaking to his son at the same time while he played on his iPad. Another woman who was living with her 3 daughters in a house owned by Gaiman was allegedly worried that he'd kick her out if she didn't continue to have sexual encounters with him. Just mind fucking blowing when you hear this stuff. Now, of course, some people may have the question, well, wait a minute here. Where were these stories in previous years? Where were these stories, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, even? Like, where were these then? Well, look, maybe he did not engage in those type of activities back then, right? It's a possibility. You really don't know because the freaking Variety article, it's behind a paywall. I want to try to see if there's a way to get around that without paying for it. Hopefully, next time I join you guys on the air, which will be later this week, I'll be on the air this weekend with Tams because I definitely want to get her thoughts about this and everything. It's weird and it's kind of funny. Funny from the standpoint of, well, damn, what did you expect from this guy? I mean, the man's always wearing black. He's got this morbid thing about him, and he kind of screams douchebag, asshole-ish, bit of a prima donna. Like all the signs are there. How could you miss it? Why would you be shocked to hear this? But at the same time, yeah, we're shocked to hear this. Obviously, this is a prime example of kind of going back to the Melina story from earlier in the show. We can't be so quick to be reactionary, but I do understand. Trust me, I do understand those that are fans of this guy's written work, Stardust, and they're going, "Oh, I love this guy," and they're thinking about all the stuff that they read of him, and I get it. Your heart is broken when you hear this because that would be like for me. What would be soul crushing for me is if I were to hear Stephen King, the great Stephen King, the prolific author Stephen King. It turns out he is, I don't know, whatever the most despicable, heinous thing that can come to your mind. Like, oh my God, I can't believe right? That would make my interpretation of all the stuff that I've read of his, like, as a fan, I definitely, I wouldn't be conflicted. I'd be disturbed. I would be disturbed. So I would imagine there's a lot of Neil Gaiman fans out there that's reading this and they're going, what the fuck? Like, obviously, this is a ever evolving, developing story. Let me tell you something, man. When the Me Too movement came about, we've seen what's been happening. We saw what happened with Bill Cosby. We saw what happened with R. Kelly, uh, Louis C.K. Look at the P. Diddy documentary that's getting ready to drop on Investigation Discovery. Is that next week or is it the week after? That's getting ready to pop up. So we have seen more and more people that are speaking up, and rightfully so, because the timing and everything. That's the other thing. I'm getting a little annoyed. A lot of people are going, why now? Why? Well, why not now? Why not now? Because this is the best era right now. If there was ever a time to finally be outspoken, tell your story, tell your truth, have conviction. Like, now's the time. Got to wait and see what else happens in regards to all of this. Hey, rest in peace, Sam Moore from the infamous duo Sam and Dave. Hold on, I'm a coming. Sam Moore had passed away at the age of 89. He had just had surgery and he was recovering from that, and he ultimately passed away from a little bit of complications from that surgery. You know, unfortunately, when you get up there in age and you're that old, there's gonna be some things that could possibly go a little sideways there, unfortunately. Sam Moore, I mean, my God, such a prolific singer, but definitely a prolific writer as well. And I can tell you this. I can tell you this. If you're a fan of old school R&B, Motown era type music, definitely you got to look up Sam and Dave, because when you look up acts such as Daryl Hall and John Oates, Casey and JoJo, like to a certain degree, they were taking their cues from Sam and Dave. There's more duos that you can look at and go, you can connect it back to Sam and Dave as a great inspiration. And true story, what ultimately broke up Sam and Dave was when Stax Records was no more. That combined with the fact that Dave uh, was beating the crap out of his then wife at the time. When Sam Moore got word of it, he said to Dave straight up, he said, "Look, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I think you are a disgusting human being. I think you're a piece of shit. I don't want to have nothing to do with you on a personal level. But as far as reuniting, doing some shows, putting money in our pocket, I'd be okay with an occasional team up here and there. But I don't want nothing to do with you behind the scenes." And that's the way they did it. I mean, there was already animosity and all types of stuff that was brewing with the two, but at its peak in the 70s there, it just hit an all-time high. And of course, Dave greatly influenced by drugs and alcohol. Not trying to justify, just giving you guys full context what was going on. And so they teamed up a couple of times until Dave's untimely passing. Was it? I think he died at the age of 50. It was a automobile accident. Sam tried doing a new Sam and Dave group. I can't remember what was the guy's the new Dave. I can't remember his last name. I think they called it the Sam and Dave Review or something like that. Not review, review. So I'm not saying it Review. They had it like Revue or something like that. Revised basically is how they were trying to how they were trying to dub it ultimately. And that did okay, here and there, but wasn't quite the same like what it was back in the day. Also, on a wrestling tip, rest in peace, because we were talking about him last week. And last that we were here, we were mentioning how he was put in hospice. Rest in peace to Black Bart, who passed away at the age of 76. And it's funny because as soon as I found out about his passing, one of the first people that I thought about was JBL, because JBL, he loves him some Black Bart. His whole character when he was coming up in wrestling and everything, like that's who he was gravitated towards and everything. You're thinking Mid-Atlantic Championship, Georgia Championship, Mid-South Wrestling, for those of you that know your wrestling from back in those days, or maybe Championship Wrestling from Florida, World Class Championship Wrestling, um, the UWA. Definitely that brief period of time. Um, didn't he work in WWF for like 1 year? If I'm not mistaken, he was in WWF for 1 year. Then, of course, World Championship Wrestling, WCW, long decorated career. He was a diabetic. He had surgery, bypass surgery in 2015. He also, if you remember, because we talked about it here on the show many, many years ago, it was going back around 2015, 2016, I think. It was part of a class action lawsuit filed against WWE CTE, all that by that Kairos Constantine, that goddamn lawyer, always trying to get some money by banning all these former wrestlers together. And hey, come on, come get paid, come get paid. And it's so weird because when you look at, and I said it way back then, I'm like, wait, Black Bart, like he was barely in WWE for like a year. As like, what chair shots did he take to the head? What, like, when was he dropped on his head? When was he? Yeah, you're just thinking back, like him and some other individuals. You're going, wait, and this is WWE's fault? Like, 'cause some of the people that's been involved in these CTE lawsuits against WWE, it's like, wait a minute, you were only in WWE for like maybe 3, 6 months, and you never did a hardcore match. You never even left your feet and landed on your head. So, like, what do you mean you're involved in this lawsuit? This is some of the most craziest shit when you hear that. But um, Black Bart diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer a couple of years ago. And Dutch Mantel, shout out to him, he had revealed on his podcast that because we heard it first from Dutch Mantel that Black Bart decided he was going to stop all his chemotherapy treatments, that he pretty much was ready to go home to the loving arms of the Lord and everything. um and also because mainly his medical insurance, it ran out. When you get right down to the heart of the matter, like, his medical insurance ran out. Make no mistake about it, not everybody can go through the chemotherapy. Just to follow up on what I touched upon last week, not everybody, that chemotherapy, it is draining. It is draining. Some people, they can't go through it. It's just too much. So, imagine being in that position where you feel too weak to continue to go through the chemotherapy, but also at the same time, it's a situation where, well, even if you wanted to continue chemotherapy, you no longer have medical insurance because it ran out. I hate our system. I really do. I hate our fucking America has the most fucked up insurance coverage that's out there. It needs a revamp. It really, really does. I wish, like, in I look at Canada, I look at other countries, and it's like, wow, their shit is on point. I look at our country and don't even get me started. But yeah, so rest in peace to Black Bart. Found myself checking out some old school matches of his earlier in the day. Just kind of reminiscing about yesteryear. You get me in that zone of checking out some old school wrestling from 70s, 60s, 50s. Lately, I've been playing around with stuff from around the 30s and 40s. But you get me in that old school head zone there. I will be checking that out for, like, what first started off as 5 minutes. Next thing you know, my God, it's 3 hours later. Where did the time go? What the hell? On a little bit of a and by the way, and I want to give proper shout out where proper shout out needs to be given. I was making my rounds, just checking out old podcasters that I have not listened to in a couple of years. Just listening to the first couple of minutes, just hearing where they are, and not necessarily if they've gotten better, just curious where they are, in their life, curious where they are as an individual and all that. And one of the shows I had stumbled upon well, not stumbled upon. I went out of my way to listen just for a couple of minutes. I was checking out Don Tony. Don Tony was somebody that I still have a lot of respect for him and his contributions. You asked me straight up, I just didn't like the way everything had played out a couple of years back with Mish Thomas. I didn't like how that whole ordeal went, and I was just disgusted by that. But he brought up a very interesting point that I was not even aware of, which kind of plays back again to how I'm not feeling how these dirt sheets and others are operating here, which is, apparently some of these dirt sheet websites, they were mentioning how, hey, this amount of wrestlers died in 2024. One person had like 10, another person had like 15, and it turns out that was a inaccurate number. And let me tell you something, when it comes to DT and his wrestling news and his wrestling historian news, the guy knows his shit. I give him his props. He is very well researched. He did his own respected research and found that in 2024, a total of 80 wrestlers had died. And he mentioned too, some of the major wrestling websites and even non-wrestling sites that were reporting on wrestling deaths. Hey, this is not the official number. Like, if anything, you should say this is just some of the wrestlers that died in 2024, because the total number I'm looking at, it's 80. With the exception of Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated, they pretty much ignored him. But everybody else, they pretty much revised, put out new lists, even. But 80 wrestlers had died. A lot of the names you're not going to really know, not unless you are an old school wrestling fan. And then even at that, there's going to be some names that, oh yeah, I don't know about that. That definitely was way before my time. So unless you're like a fanatic encyclopedia of who's who when it comes to wrestlers, a lot of the names you're not even going to know. But I just thought, for trivial purposes, for those of you that maybe might have been curious, 80 wrestlers died in 2024. On a little bit of a lighter note, congratulations are in order to Ronda Rousey. And I was going to say Travis Scott. That would be interesting. But no, Travis Brown, they welcomed their second child into the world. What a great way to kick off the new calendar year. So look, don't expect Ronda Rousey to be wrestling this calendar year. For those of you that maybe have on your bingo card, Ronda Rousey is going to return. If you did not know, Ronda Rousey welcomed the second kid. You do now. She ain't going to be doing no wrestling no time soon. I mean, look at the cues from what went down with the first kid. With the first kid, she pretty much was gone for damn near a whole year. And then even at that, it was sporadic appearances. Even when she was with the WWE, it was sporadic appearances here and there. Although I will say that last little stretch, she went out pretty hard. Could have been a better wrap up, but eh. Now, if you want to pick my brain and go, Lee, can you see Ronda Rousey returning to the wrestling industry? Man. Yes, on the independent scene, for sure. Yes, on the independent scene. Especially if it's a case where she's reunited with good friends like Marina Shafir and she's hearing nothing but good things. Like, yeah, sure. Could I even see a case where Ronda Rousey goes to AEW? I think Tony Khan would give her whatever she's asking for and then some. But see, here's the thing. Is Mercedes Moné going to play well? Is Mercedes Moné going to play well? Is Britt Baker going to play well? That's the $1,000,000 question. That is the $1,000,000 question. I don't see Ronda Rousey doing anything with AEW. I see Ronda Rousey, believe it or not, and this may sound crazy, I see her giving WWE another chance under Paul Levesque. One thing that's been very consistent about Ronda in the few interviews that she's given, and she's talking about her time in WWE, that is, hey, wasn't feeling it with the old man. I really liked Triple H. I really wish Triple H was the one in charge because I know how I'm feeling about the company now. It'd be much different. I know he would have done me right. I think once she gets to that point where she feels as though, okay, you know what? I'm seeing what's happening in WWE. I kind of feel like I can trust Triple H Paul Levesque because I'm seeing what's happening with this person. I'm seeing what's happening with that person. And I'm seeing what's going on with this person over here. And I like what's going on. I want to tap into that. I see her going back to WWE. But definitely not in 2025. As far as maybe something happening in 2026, 2027. Yeah, sure. I definitely I can see her. Look, if we're still here in 2028, and I know for a fact, as far as doing the show, and we'll still be here. But I'm just saying, when we get to 2028, if Ronda Rousey still has not done anything in wrestling by then it's safe to say she's done. Like, look, she's made all her money. She's got Travis. Travis got his money, right? Combine all that. They really don't need to unless you feel where I'm coming from. So at this point, if she does get involved with wrestling again, it's definitely going to be on her terms when she's good and ready. And she's definitely going to be doing it for the love. Definitely for the love. We didn't get a chance to talk about this last week, but WWE, they're going to be bringing the Royal Rumble to Saudi Arabia in 2026. Yes. Look, if this is not a sign that WWE and the Saudi prince, as far as like a taste of things to come, those of you that's going, maybe WWE is going to walk away from this deal when it's all said and done and it's time for it to expire. They're going to go and leave all that money on the table. TKO, Ari Emanuel and them, and leave all that money on the table. Why is my Ring doorbell going off? Oh, it's my door. My screen door is whoa, that wind is strong. I love looking at the Ring doorbell. I love it. Yeah, let me give you guys a quick update. So I've had this installed now for about 2 weeks now, maybe 2.5 weeks. I love it. I highly recommend it. I got a Ring doorbell. It doesn't involve any wiring. I pretty much was just able to take a screwdriver, find a place in the wooden frame. Boom, 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 boom. I had it installed less than 5 minutes. Now charging it, that was a different story because out of the box, the battery was only halfway charged. And you got to make sure that it's a full charge. Now, some of you guys, because I know some of you all may be a little bit impatient, or you may wonder, uh, is this supposed to? You'll notice this little tiny blink, like it'll be like maybe 5% away from a full charge. You'll see it for those of you that ultimately get a Ring. And you'll be like, damn, is there some type of a malfunction? Is it ready to go? Like, you just got to wait. When you have a solid ring, blue ring that's blinking, it's 100% charging it, ready to go. But out of the box and charging it, that's going to take about at least, unless you have a wall adapter charger or whatever, if you're doing it USB, to a computer or whatever. That's going to take about 2.5 hours, maybe a little less, give or take. But yeah, the installation, very, very easy. You get a free trial that's about 30 days. So you can see all the cool features. I recommend it. Check it out. You guys definitely won't be disappointed. I sometimes troll my girl and my mother-in-law because I get the notification and then I'll hit the button, I'll hit the little microphone while I'm looking at the live feed, and I'll just be talking random shit to them. Like tonight, I said to my wife, I said, "You can't enter unless you have candy." And she's like, "Fuck you." I'm like, she just stuck her key in there. The one disadvantage I would have to say for you dog lovers out there, you dog owners out there, the one disadvantage I would have to say, well, you could look at it as a good thing, but that chime that you just heard, right? When you get that little notification that maybe somebody's at your door, boy, I tell you what, my dogs, particularly Chloe, my second oldest, boy, she was very quick to put two and two together that when she hears that chime, somebody's at the door. I mean, she was able to get that down so damn fast. She was able to make the correlation barely under a week. I would say by like day 3, day 4 max. She's okay, that somebody's at the door. And now my all three of my dogs, whenever they hear that chime now, and she's leading the way, they all go right to the damn door. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, Royal Rumble coming to Saudi Arabia. Look, it's good. It's good for WWE. It's good for TKO. It's a lot of great money to be had. And then look, to think about the way that Raw premiere went down last week with all the drones. Just think about when we do get Royal Rumble next year, just how far and advanced WWE is going to be with the current technology that they're able to play with and get a lot of experience with right now going into Saudi Arabia's Royal Rumble. Oh my god, it is going to be on a whole new other level. And you know they're going to be having the drone shows out there as well. Oh my god, if it's going to be anything, it's going to be very close to what we got with this Raw Netflix premiere, but times 10 because this is a Royal Rumble. You know they're going to put any and everything into this bad boy from a production standpoint. I can't wait because it's going to be a spectacle. I cannot wait. It's going to be a spectacle. Now, I got a message because I know some wrestlers make their rounds checking out different podcasts. I'm well aware from over the years. Look, when you've been at it as long as we have, you're gonna win some folks over from different wrestling promotions. And we know there's a certain amount of WWE stars that check out this podcast on a regular basis. They may watch it live, just they don't say anything, or they might slide into my DMs or hit me up with an email. I know who some of them are. But I got a message, and I hope that you WWE wrestlers that's checking this out, you spread this to your other colleagues, which is this point I want to make. For those of you that have sat out on these Saudi shows, damn, that wind is strong. I'm watching the trees. I don't know if I can show you guys this, but look at that. Look at that. The trees are just going ridiculous. Look at those. Look at that. So front view there. My trees are blowing like a motherfucker, man. It's crazy. WWE talents, right? Those of you that check out this show, pass this along to your colleagues. those that have been spending all this time not interested in doing the Saudi shows, political reasons, religious reasons, whatever the reasons may be, do the shows. Do the shows. You know why? I'm only going to give you one reason why. I'm gonna have to turn the notification. There we go. I got it muted. We're good. Do the shows. You know why? Because look at it this way. Look at it this way. That's a hell of a payday. I've heard from enough talents to know they get a pretty sweet bonus payday for doing those Saudi shows. Number one. Number two, you look at what's going on at home in the US, particularly with California and those wildfires. All I'm saying, y'all, go do that Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, get that payday. Take that payday from that Saudi show, give it to the families in California that desperately need it for their rebuilding and all of that. They definitely, because it's going to take some years. It's going to take some years. Invest that money into the families, and invest that money into rebuilding, restructuring the California wildlife out there. So it's like you'd be doing it for such a worthy cause. I personally feel, because look, let's keep it 100. It ain't like, oh, in a year, everything's going to be back to normal in California. No, no. It's going to take years and years of rebuilding. So you would be doing the world a lot of good, by doing those Saudi shows and setting it up that way. It's something to consider. It's something to consider. And hey, if you end up not doing the Saudi shows, I still respect you. You know, Big League gonna still respect you. I'm just saying, sometimes you just got to take a step back, and sometimes you just got to look at the bigger picture. Just something to think about. Vince McMahon had social media kind of going, wait, what? Going into the weekend, because his team and all that, they put out this post talking basically about, you know, vindicated and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, did Vince McMahon resolve this case thingamajigga with Janelle Grant? Like, what the hell is going on here? And once again, we had some people, dirt sheets and everything. Boy, this is a recurring theme tonight. That were, oh, the Janelle Grant case. Oh, it's closed. It's closed. And it's like, no, motherfucker. Not at all. So this is what threw people off. They saw this post on Vince McMahon's social media. The case is closed. Today ends nearly 3 years of investigation by different governmental agencies. There has been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating and what was the outcome and what the outcome would be. As today resolution shows, much of that speculation was misguided and misleading. In the end, there was never anything more to this than minor accounting errors with regard to some personal payments that I have made several years ago while I was CEO of WWE. So you're like, oh, son of a bitch. You had us thinking one thing and then what the hell? I'm thrilled that I can now put all this behind me. Well, you can put that part behind you, but you still have other, this other, I'm not going to call it a war, but I will say this other battle that's been staring you in the eyes for a long time, which is much more damaging than a hey, you owe some money. So, very important context here. Vince McMahon basically settled with the SEC. The SEC, which is the United States Security and Exchange Commission. He has basically settled with them without admitting nor denying its findings. This was exclusively about the hush money charges. Just go back. I don't want to go through the whole because we talked about this extensively about X amount of money. And meanwhile, Janelle Grant's civil suit that is still moving forward. And Janelle Grant civil suit that will go forward and use these findings as evidence, according to her attorney. So that's where things still stand. As Janelle Grant's team, they very quickly reminded everybody that the criminal investigation into Mr. McMahon that's still active. So this whole SEC crap, and I know Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, he did a nice breakdown of basically, look, this is like literally a slap in the wrist that Vince McMahon is getting here in paying these fines, because basically Vince McMahon has to pay like I think 1.5 million, that he's basically got to pay to the SEC or whatever. So I mean, he's literally getting away with a slap on the wrist per se and all that. It's interesting because one thing that keeps being brought up that's very, very inaccurate that I want to make sure that we let be crystal clear known here, because I want you guys to come away not just enlightened, but I want you all to come away being smarter wrestling fans. There's this narrative that I see that continues to grow, which is, oh, well, when President Trump gets into the office, he'll pardon Vince McMahon. He'll pardon Vince McMahon. Yeah, he'll pardon Vince McMahon. So, there's nothing to worry about here. He'll pardon Vince McMahon. Well, first of all, and I need to correct myself. I said criminal charges earlier in regards to Janelle Grant. That's actually that's a civil thing. I want to make sure, right? There's a big difference between criminal and civil. There's a big, 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 big difference here. So obviously, when it's criminal, we're talking, okay, this person can end up doing jail time. And in the case of what's been happening with this Janelle Grant, this Vince McMahon civil lawsuit, because as far as these rape allegations go, which sadly, that's just as it is, it's rape allegations. To use Vince McMahon's own words, not necessarily in regards to Janelle Grant, but remember what he said about the referee and then some other people. Well, if it was rape, the limit stature, like it's long past. It's long past. So meanwhile, you got this stuff that's going on with Janelle Grant. And this stuff that's going on with Janelle Grant, there's nothing criminal. There's been no criminal charges that has ever been filed against Vince McMahon. No criminal charges. Show me where Vince McMahon is being charged with rape. He's being charged with sodomy. He's being charged with sodomy with a foreign object. Like, no, none of that. What's happening this whole entire time, that's everything that's been happening with Janelle Grant, it is civil. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, whoever the president, Trump, Biden, whoever, Obama, whoever, I know Obama can't come back, but you get what I'm saying. they do not have the power to, in regards to a civil suit. Like there's nothing they can do. That sounds weird, right? Like, but that's how our North American political system is structured. Right down to the point. Let's see if we can get Siri to talk to us. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Why doesn't a president have the powers to pardon somebody in a civil lawsuit?
Okay, I found this on the web for why doesn't a president have the powers to pardon someone in a civil lawsuit. Check it out.
Okay, so let's look at Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1, an overview of pardon power. The president shall be commander in chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and the militia of the several states. When called into the actual service of the United States, he may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer and each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices. And he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Constitution establishes the president's authority to grant clemency, encompassing not only pardons of individuals, but several other forms of relief from criminal punishment as well. The power, which has historical roots in early English law, has been recognized by the Supreme Court as quite broad. In the 1886 case, let's skip ahead a little bit. President's authority to pardon as unlimited, except in case of impeachment, extending to every offense known to law. Despite I'm just jumping ahead a little bit. Clemency may only be granted for offenses against the United States, meaning that state criminal offenses and federal or state civil claims are not covered. That's the most important one. Despite the breadth of the president's authority under the pardon clause, the Constitution's text provides for at least two limits on the power. First, clemency may only be granted for offenses against the United States, meaning that state criminal offenses and federal or state civil claims are not covered. Second, the president's clemency authority cannot be used in cases of impeachment. So that's the main meat and potatoes right there that I want you guys to focus on. So every time you hear these people that's going, oh, Trump can pardon him. Trump can pardon him. Trump can pardon him. No, he cannot, because this is a civil suit. If a day were to ever come where criminal charges by Janelle Grant would be, pressed upon Vince McMahon, and, they're trying to see if they can get this guy convicted, and oh my God, Vince McMahon gets convicted. Yeah, then Trump can step in, because now we're talking a criminal thing. We're not talking civil, but all things civil, no. So for those of you that maybe want to read that again, there's a lot more to this. Do in a Bing Google search Article 2, S2, C131, overview of pardon power. And you can read up on that at your own accord. I'm glad we were able to find the main meat and potatoes of that one. So let's talk NXT. We got some previews that's coming up. I also want to show some love to the TNA Genesis card that's going to be coming up. They got a pay-per-view coming up this weekend. So first things first, as far as your NXT preview coming up this week, where is it here? I'm trying to look it up here. Here we go. What's today? Today's the 14th. Cool. So basically, we're dealing with the fallout from New Year's Evil. We did talk about New Year's Evil on last week's show. I do have that available now for on demand and on the downloads for those of you that might be interested. So, full card for this week's NXT. We got a tag team championship match. Nathan Frazier and Axiom defending against OTM. Meanwhile, we got the women's tag team championship number one contenders match. Meta 4 versus the Unholy Union. We also have the NXT Women's North American Championship number one contenders match. Shotzi Blackheart taking on Stephanie Lakir. And I would imagine we're going to be hearing from the newly crowned NXT World Heavyweight Champion, Obafemi. So there's your card for this week's NXT. Meanwhile, AEW Dynamite, remember, that is going to be Maximum Carnage. I hear that and I go, let me find out. Tony Khan is a huge freaking fan of Spider-Man, because one of my all-time favorite sagas was the Maximum Carnage saga. I love that to death. So if that's where Tony Khan is going with that, I love it. I freaking love it. But here's how the card is looking for AEW Dynamite Maximum Carnage. We got a trios, Private Party and Mark Briscoe take on the Hurt Syndicate. Women's Casino Gauntlet match. The winner receives a championship shot for the AEW Women's World Championship at Grand Slam. Meanwhile, Hook will be taking on Christian Cage. Elsewhere, Kenny Omega, first time ever since his return. You know, that diverticulitis was kicking his ass big time, but for the first time in a good minute, we got him in AEW in-ring action. He'll be taking on Brian Cage. And the main event match, Jon Moxley defends his AEW World Heavyweight Championship against Mr. I'm going to make you my bitch, Powerhouse Hobbs. So nice. He said it twice. He said it on last week's Dynamite, and he said it over the weekend on Collision. By the way, I saw the GIF that's in circulation of FTR's Dax Hardwood taking on Chris Jericho. I didn't want to comment on it, and I did not comment on it on social media in real time. I wanted to actually see it in full context. So I played back Collision because I didn't watch it. I watched Collision early Monday afternoon. And hey, kudos to Dax and Jericho. It was a decent match. What happened there in that whole sequence, largely in part, two things. One, Jericho and the amount of weight that he is packing these days. You know, it's slowing him down in some areas, right? In some areas, it's slowing him down. He may be 50 years old, but he's wrestling more like a 60-plus-year-old with certain opponents. And in this case, definitely wrestling against Dax Hardwood. He was wrestling at a much slower speed, because not for nothing, Dax isn't a fast guy, but at the same time, Dax makes up for that by being more of a technical / brawler, mainly brawler. So, and you were getting a lot of those good elements in the match. Look, I think the match was a modest C plus, maybe almost a B minus from what I saw. The referee, wrong place, wrong time. It seemed like the referee got a brain fart. Like he really was not in the right position where he was supposed to be to take whatever bump he was supposed to take. So all of that was way off. The spot where Jericho uses his feet to send Dax into the turnbuckle, all that just, there was a lot of stuff there that was just the timing. Everything was just, and the synchronicity. everything was just, it was bad. I'm sure there's a couple of things in there that both of those guys would like to have back. But I have seen worse. I have seen worse. I have seen worse. So we got that. What else? What else? So that's NXT. That's Dynamite. Let's not forget about SmackDown as well. As it stands right now, SmackDown is on a what? Let me look at the calendar here. SmackDown is on the 17th. Let's see how many matches. Last SmackDown was interesting because last SmackDown we only knew about one match, and we knew that there was one wrestler that was going to be in the house to speak. The rest of the card we did not know. So this Friday's January 17th edition of SmackDown, all we know right now is that the Motor City Machine Guns are going to be taking on Los Garza. Meanwhile, Solo Sikoa returns. That's going to be interesting because I'm very curious, because when you go back to last Monday's Raw and you look at that whole Paul Heyman Roman Reigns thing, and they were talking about the coronation of celebrating Roman Reigns and his excellence, acknowledging him properly, you know, now that he has gotten back the Ulafala. And Roman's like, you know what? Let's celebrate on Monday. What was that? January 27th. You know, let's celebrate on January 27th, which is a Raw. Like, you see that when they went into the locker room, there was the 2K25 text on the door, logo and all that on the door. So you can't help but wonder if there's like a double meaning. Like, okay, so on the one hand, we're going to reveal the 2K25 cover, but we're also going to officially recognize the tribal chief. So everything really makes the Solo Sikoa return that much more interesting, because is Sikoa going to be returning to let us know whether or not he's going to be at that acknowledgement for Roman Reigns on the 27th? Or like what's going on here? I like the new direction that we're going there with Tamatanga and what's that? I'm sorry, Tamaloa. Is it Tamaloa or Tongaloa? Yeah. And Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is putting the weight back on again there. I see he's starting to get back that MLW build. I like it. I thought he was a little bit too small for my personal taste. You know, anytime Roman Reigns looks, you know, 3 times bigger than you, or a guy like LA Knight looks bigger than you, like that's not good by any stretch. So I like that he is picking up the weight that I used to love seeing him carry back in his MLW days. I like the new presentation of Jacob Fatu. I like that he's talking more. Damn good promo he cut on SmackDown. Love his entrance theme. That's badass. And the way the pyros kept going off at every single beat that dropped. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Good stuff. I can't wait to see that Solo Sikoa promo. And then our main event match, WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton defending against Bayley. So that's what always going to be happening on SmackDown. We were supposed to get into the TNA Genesis card, but with that comes predictions. So let's do this, because we are, believe it or not, fam, we are almost at the 3-hour mark. We gave you guys a nice deluxe edition this go round tonight, only because there was a lot to cover essentially. So hopefully you guys appreciated this deluxe episode. Let's do this. I will gladly do a bonus show for you guys. Let's do Thursday afternoon, maybe Thursday evening. I'll come on maybe sometime between 4 to 7 p.m. We'll come on 7:15. We'll come on somewhere around that time frame, and we'll do a bonus show for you guys. I'll give you my thoughts on AEW Maximum Carnage. We'll go over the preview for this week's Impact Wrestling, preview and offer predictions for their TNA Genesis pay-per-view that's going to be coming up this Sunday. We'll get into some more little wrestling news tidbits, all that good stuff. So Thursday for sure, mark it down. Thursday afternoon, like somewhere between 7:15 p.m. East Coast time. We'll come on and we'll do a show for you guys. We won't do as long though. I'm thinking we'll probably do about an hour 15, maybe almost 90 minutes strong, and then dip out. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to you guys, because you all are awesome as always. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. Get at your man all throughout social media. Get the Twitter, get the YouTube, get the Facebook. Keywords, the RCWR show. I'm on Blue Sky now, picking up quite a decent amount of followers. I like the real accounts though. I'm doing my best to ignore the bots. I just go, yeah, you guys don't count. So, but I see the real people that's been following me. Appreciate you guys. If you haven't followed me on Blue Sky, but you're thinking about doing Blue Sky, do Blue Sky. It's like how Twitter used to be before Elon Musk came in and fucked it all up. And now rumor has it that he might be trying to acquire TikTok. Oh man. Heaven help TikTok. Seriously, heaven help TikTok. I am not doing TikTok because I'm waiting to see how all of this is going to play out with the government over here in North America. I'm waiting to see how all that's going to play out. But yeah, check out Blue Sky. Good stuff. And yeah, I'm trying to think anything else I want to plug. Shout out to our sponsors as always. Shout out to friends of the show that support us as always. Let me just make sure I went through all interactions. Oh, no, I didn't. Shout out to Danny. Danny boy on Twitter. Looks like he's responding to my Penta comments for his fantastic debut. And for those of you that want to know exactly what I said in regards to Penta, I said, seeing the reactions to Penta, man, I gotta say you couldn't ask for a better debut against such an awesome opponent in Chad Gable. Excellent presentation. When the WWE system gets it right, it's so damn special. Take notes, AEW, and do your stars better. That was my message, and it's picked up a decent amount of comments. Danny had to say, right, Gable helped make him look so damn good. What a debut. See, his family was the cherry on the cake. Yeah, especially for the daughter. I mean, just to see his daughter, who's like, what was she? Would you guys say she was maybe 10, maybe 11? Seeing her cry, you're like, oh, like that's a proud kid looking on at their papa going, go dad, go. Yeah, and that's like inspiration. That is like, they know how much that means to Penta, to be on that stage, right? That dream job. And when you finally have your dream job and your family knows how important that dream job is for you, that dream career is for you, and it's finally in your grasp, you're touching it, and damn good feeling there. Damn good feeling there. Shout out to WWE Supercard News, who says, well, WWE Supercard will be patiently waiting for that Penta card, whether that's this Wednesday or next month. I have a feeling at this point, Supercard News, I have a feeling at this point, because they already told us what's going to be the new Battle Pass. The new Battle Pass, which is going to be coming up, I think, on the 16th or 17th this week. The new Battle Pass. Wait, is it? No. I think next week is the Battle Pass. Let me load up the game real quick, because I can tell you. Because I think at this point we got like maybe 3 days left. Yeah, we got 3 days left on the current Battle Pass. So looking at the calendar, Let me see. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Friday. Friday is going to be the new battle pass. And the new battle pass is going to be Roxanne Perez. She is going to be the new battle pass. So yeah, maybe next month, Supercard news. Maybe next month. Would I like it to be sooner? Fuck yeah. I would like that incentive to play the game a little bit more. I definitely, yeah. I would love it if it could be this month, but I'm more prepared for next month. It's all good. All right, so that is going to do it, my pretty babies. Until next go round, love you guys that stayed with me for practically the entire show. Shout out to those of you that's going to be checking this out for on demand and on the downloads. Until next go round, my pretty babies. Wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys this Thursday for your bonus edition of the RCWR show. Take care, y'all, and peace out.